Hello, hello. So let us begin. I'm going to put us on mute just for comfort here. And now that, and I have the chat box up in case, anyone needs anything, wants to add anything. Do I sound okay right now that we're all on mute? There's no, okay, cool. Cool. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know. And we're going to start practice. So let me scooch back here. Make sure my phone is off, which I think I did. Yeah. Okay. Welcoming yourself here. Hello. You can find a seated shape, and sit however you want, propped, not propped. You might lay down. You might start in a child's pose shape. If there's, something that your body is calling for, just guide yourself there. And once you feel like you're ready in stillness, we're going to close the eyes. We're going to allow the body to relax. We're going to take a few breaths here. Maybe listening to the initial inhale or the initial exhale. Listening to the space in between breaths. Noticing how the breath circulates through the body, moving from head to toe. Arriving into this present space, beginning to feel the body soften, whatever that might mean for you. Letting go of any clenching, any gripping. And here in our practice, we'll find this space of acceptance. And we might drift back and forth between accepting what was, accepting what is, accepting what will be. And any of the unnecessary tightness that we might be holding blocks any sort of acceptance. But our softening, our relaxing, the stretches helps us create space so that acceptance is possible. Your mind might be gravitating towards different ideas of what we might be accepting, whether it's the breath, the body, maybe a particular stretch. It's, accepting stillness, accepting quiet, accepting time, accepting whatever it might be. And we're going to use our practice this evening to help us create space. And so with this in mind, with this present within our awareness, we'll come to find a few cleansing breaths. Together, we'll breathe in through the nose and open the lips to exhale. Again, like that, deep breath in and a deep breath out. This third time, hands can stay relaxed within the lap. Hands might come to the heart and belly. Hands might come into prayer. Again, wherever the body is calling for. And you might choose to take another cleansing breath or join me for the sound of Om. Together, let's breathe in. Om. Very gently bowing your chin to your chest. Keep your palms placed wherever they are. And just notice the subtle sensations of the breath or of the vibrations, how they're reverberating off the walls of the inner body and sealing our intentions for practice. And so when you're ready here, we'll slowly open the eyes and bring the hands away. We'll allow ourselves to, you might stay seated or lay back down because we're going to start in butterfly. So depending on which one you'd like to do, you can take the reclined butterfly where the soles of the feet come together. Knees will open out to the sides, right? And then you might use some props underneath the outer thighs, the back spine, the back of the head, whatever would be supportive as you lay. However, if the body is going to decide to forward fold instead, we're basically using the same props, right? So instead of propping the head, maybe with a pillow or blanket, you'll prop your tailbone with a pillow or blanket. Bringing your feet close together, knees open out to the sides, and maybe some blocks or pillows and blankets will come to support your forearms or your forehead as we fold. And remember, you can be as creative as you'd like with these props, just supporting them or supporting your body in any way. You can choose to sit tall and still be in butterfly or fold. You can also choose to recline and take this butterfly shape. Okay, so we'll start here. Letting your hands and arms relax wherever they may. Until you're ready to close your eyes and arrive into stillness. Beginning to notice the sensations of the stretch. And as we observe these sensations where your fascial tissue is lengthening, we can support ourselves here, not only with the presence of the breath, but also by physically softening. Letting go of any clenching or gripping, which you may have already started to do. Letting go of any unnecessary tension or clenching. And even as we feel and notice the different phases of the stretch, we accept each and every one of them with an open mind and an open heart. Accepting this time in stillness to help promote the stretch. We still have some time here in butterfly. You can always release sooner if needed. You might stay here for a few extra breaths. If you would like to stay longer, you're more than welcome to. But whenever you're ready, let's begin to slowly release. We can all release differently depending if you're reclined butterfly or forward folding. But you know that you'll just take your time moving your arms and legs and any counter movements. Maybe you just move around your props, or part of this is to move the props out of your way. No right or wrong. The good thing is that the mind can rest. There's no, particular way to do anything. And after your counter movements here, we'll find that pause to rest within Shavasana, right? That mini Shavasana, our rebound. Are you going to stay seated? Do you come to lay down? Are you in child's pose? We may have accepted the knots of tissue for so long within the body that now we practice accepting that reclaimed space, that openness we feel after each stretch. And take another breath here. And then whenever you're ready, you might take a counter movement or two as we awaken, and then we'll prepare for our twist. So we might move some props around. We're going to come back to lay down. Now, we will be twisting to the right first so that our left leg is on top. And you'll have a choice here to either come into supine unless you want to come into hummingbird. So as we hug the legs into the chest, twisting to the right, left leg is on top, right? And if you are coming into supine, of course, use any props for the, under the right leg, in between the knees, whatever needed, back of the head, maybe. If you're going to come into hummingbird, have a pillow or a block or a blanket extended out to the right, because your left leg is going to lengthen and then the foot is going to rest on top of that prop. Now, the higher the prop, the deeper the stretch, right? So using a block or a book is going to be more sturdy, so that will be a little bit more of a sensation. But I mean, a pillow does the job as well. It's just because of the squish, it's not as high. But doing whatever is best for you. Whether you're choosing supine or this hummingbird variation, less of a stretch is if you rest on your right side body, right? You can be on your right shoulder, on your right rib cage, your right hip, all the way. But if you do start to twist a little bit more, that left shoulder starts to walk down towards the floor. More of your chest is opening up towards the ceiling. But feel free to kind of navigate how deep you'd like to open this left side body, leaving your arms wherever is best. And so if you need anything, let me know. I'll start our timer here. Readjusting the hips, readjusting the shoulders until your body is ready to find stillness. Arriving as we begin to notice the sensations that we feel. Maybe different pockets of tissue are showing up in our awareness. The specific shape of the body illuminating a particular area. Accepting that here the fascial tissue is maybe a little more tight than other places. And so this is the stretch that we receive. And there are times when the body shares an internal cue, suggesting to readjust, maybe not stretch so intensely. And then we also need to do another breath of acceptance that we may have to move. We may have to change the shape of the body and readjust. So this seesaw of acceptance goes back and forth between listening and responding. And at times we accept to listen, and other times we need to accept that we need to respond. And sometimes it might be a little of both. We'll be in our twist for a few more breaths. And then whenever you're ready, let's begin to slowly release. Taking your time as you unravel, moving one leg at a time, one arm at a time, no rush. Does the body guide you straight into rebound? Maybe you'll take a few counter movements first. But no matter where we are, maybe in a slightly different experience, yet we're all connected to the awareness of our body. We're accepting this guidance coming from more than just the mind. And we pause here in a moment of reflection. Softening even in rebound. If you'd like to stay a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to stay. But if you're ready to twist on the opposite side, we'll let ourselves do that. So, because we're twisting to the left side now, we might bring our props to the left side of the body, especially if you think about coming into hummingbird. But either way, hugging the knees into the chest, right leg is now on top. And we twist. choosing supine, any props for the body, hummingbird, any prop elevating that ankle. Maybe there's a slight little bend into that top right knee as well. And you can choose to rest on your left side entirely, right? That's really not twisting. This is the most supportive. If you choose to let your right shoulder begin to open to the floor, you'll walk the shoulder blades underneath you. Let the arms relax as wide or as close to the body as needed. And we'll begin to settle into the shape. Chin facing any direction, just do what's most comfortable for your neck. And then we'll begin to settle here. Noticing where your body is expressing sensation. Effortlessly accepting where the tighter knots of tissue reside, letting them lengthen and elongate with every second. And though we describe our levels of comfort and discomfort here, where in Yin we talk about our edge, but when we come from this place of acceptance, we may not have to put comfort and discomfort in any particular box. Again, it could just be what is. Knowing that the body is always doing its very best for your greatest good. As we continue to observe the body, observe the breath, we'll be here for a few more moments, maybe softening a little more deeply. And then whenever you're ready, let's slowly and patiently begin to release from the twist. No rush. Sometimes you take a few breaths knowing you have to move, and then the body can begin releasing. Letting your arms and legs help guide you out of the shape. Taking any movements, but eventually settling into rebound. This moment of a mini Shavasana, where we feel the flutter of sensation, the subtleness, and all of that new patterning layering into the muscle memory, into the memory of the nervous system. The body's memory is almost as strong as the mind's memory. At times, our mind's memory is flawed, but the body's memory goes from layer upon layer upon layer. And so you might decide to take another breath here. You might decide to stay where you are. But if you're choosing to come into the next shape, we will all make our way back to sit. No rush to get there. Take any movements along the way until we come back up to sit. So what we're going to do here, and no rush, now that we're sitting, we still might want to take another counter movement or two, but we'll let ourselves come into a double stretch. The first variation, which will have options, we're actually going to sit tall for. Just like when we come to meditate, when we sit and meditate and we might feel like aches in the back or in the shoulders, right? Allowing our fascial tissue to practice holding up our muscles and our bones and our organs and such. So that will be option one. Well, that will be the first stretch. And then the second stretch is deer, right? Then at the second stretch, we will fold over the shin. But this is where we're going to go. Option one here for the sitting up portion of this is keep your right leg straight, left knee bends, and the foot comes in towards the inner thigh. And in the event, if you need to prop that outer left leg, you're welcome to. Okay, but we're sitting tall for this. Option two, half square, ankle can come across the thigh, and you still might take a pillow, a blanket, a block maybe, and prop that outer knee, just so that we're not kind of flapping into it, and we can still have more of the fascia lengthening up as we engage. And then the next option is full square or fire log, depending on what you know of it, of what you call it. So this is where our shins come parallel, or as parallel as they can be. And we'd want that left knee to touch the right foot. And sometimes that's impossible, right? You don't see mine touching. So I'm going to take a pillow, a block, or whatever, and put it on top of my foot. And as it rests on my foot, I create that connection. And even throughout the time, it might be able to lower, right? So you can kind of choose how high it needs to be and then how low it can go, or vice versa. And this is where we're going to be. So in the first portion, we're sitting tall and upright. Once we transition into deer, that top left leg sweeps behind us, and we'll gather our props and fold over our shin as we would for deer. Cool beans. So let's prep ourselves for that. You know, even as we're sitting tall, if you want to take a pillow or blanket and prop your tailbone here, you're more than welcome to. Sometimes that's helpful for the body, and to be honest, sometimes it's not. So you're welcome to try both and just do what's best for you. Choosing option one with the left foot here in the inner leg. Option two, to have the ankle on the thigh, Or option 3, you're bending into both knees and coming into full square, but make a connection with your knee and foot. Once you feel pretty sturdy with that, we're going to allow our hands to rest within the lap. And then maybe your chin is neutral or you tuck your chin gently. And we're going to close our eyes. We're going to treat this like any other stretch. It's just we're not folding and we're not laying. We're choosing to elongate the body, sit tall all the way to the crown of the head. And we also get to watch the way the sensations begin to swirl and occur by holding this particular shape. Begin softening if you haven't already. Observing your presence, your focus. And whether you're noticing a big length within the body stretching, or maybe just a small little area, a pocket of tissue. Noticing how this particular shape might be challenging your edge. Continue to relax through the jaw, through the shoulders, relaxing through the torso and the hips, the glutes. We'll be here for a few more moments. And then on your next breath, we'll slowly open the eyes and very calmly, no rush, we'll begin to lift up that top left leg, or wherever you are, we're going to prep ourselves for deer. So that left leg, we want to internally rotate, knee coming inwards. We might shift on our props a little bit. Maybe for deer, you need to tuck your tailbone or prop something underneath your tailbone or not. Stacking your blocks, your pillows, your blankets, whatever it is, as we fold over this right shin, coming down. Maybe you'll sit upright, just like we've done. But in case you need to see it from the side, take your time just so that you can support the body. Legs can be as close or as wide as needed for the stretch. And you'll guide yourself there as you feel what your body is sensing. Now, as we shift right into deer, we won't be taking rebound until after this. You might be feeling some subtle sensations in that left hip, maybe subtle sensations within your spine or your shoulders. Just noticing the many different ways and angles that we can guide the fascia. Assisting ourselves as we let go of any unnecessary tension, any unnecessary control. And continuing to draw your awareness inwards. Noticing the expansions of the breath. And sometimes through the space of our practice where we feel like we take our first real breaths. We'll stay in deer for a few more moments. And then on your next breath, whenever you're ready, we'll gently press down and walk ourselves slowly up to sit. No rush here. We'll be guiding ourselves out of all the stretches, taking any counter movements. Sometimes your counter movements are more relaxing, sometimes they're more active. No right or wrong. But eventually you'll find that space to rebound. Sitting, laying, maybe coming to child's pose or some other shape that will comfort you. And just taking that moment to resonate here with the previous stretches, resonating with the body. In the space of acceptance, of awareness. And if you'd like to stay here a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to do so. You can stay and rebound for as long as you'd like. But when you're ready, we'll gently press down into the floor. We'll walk ourselves up to sit, taking any counter movements along the way until you're ready to prep yourself for those options of square and such on the opposite side. So this is where we sit tall before we fold in deer. Left leg lengthens, right knee will now bend. Option to bring the foot towards the inner thigh. Your hands can still rest on the body or off the body, right? But the objective here to sit tall, we're drawing our fascia up. Option 2, coming into half square, ankle on top of the thigh, and then you might have a prop underneath your right knee. Or you'll come into full square, right foot and left knee, left foot and right knee, creating this connection. Any props? Sometimes your foot, though, won't always reach to the knee. It might be more onto the shin, just depending on the proportion of your bones, right, and the length of your bones. So you can kind of, create the best shape for you and your body. Okay, so maybe there's a tailbone, a prop to the tailbone or not. Forget if I said that already. And we will settle. Hands relaxing in the lap. Maybe they're hanging off the sides of the body. Chin is neutral, or maybe you gently tuck the chin, or maybe you go back and forth and just explore. Sometimes in this notion of sitting upright, we flare our rib cage forward. So let the abdomen relax. Let the rib cage draw back into the body. We're just focusing on the back spine elongating. Softening here, just like our other yin shapes. Lots of times in yin, we also hear this word soften and surrender. And I think within this connotation of surrendering, we really are defining the role of acceptance. Accepting this brief moment of stillness. Accepting this time to listen and respond. Accepting this time to let the fascia do its thing. And we support it with the breath. And we'll be here for a few more moments. And wherever you are, we'll take another full breath. And then as we slowly flutter the eyes open, welcoming ourselves here very slowly and patiently. We'll begin to release from the shape. You might even straighten your legs all together for a moment if you want. But rather than go into rebound, we're going to transition into deer. So that top right knee bends behind you, left leg is in front of you, or for whatever reason, you'll just be doing the opposite side. And then we're going to set ourselves up to fold. So with the left shin in front, right knee behind, you may or may not have props for your tailbone or your glutes, supporting the shift of the pelvis. Legs can be as close to the body or as open as needed. Building your fort here so that you can be propped. Not trying to fight the body. We're using the props to help support us so that our main focus is the stretch. Whether you choose to sit a little taller in deer or you choose to find some slight round, the farther or the lower that you go to the ground, you can decide what works best for you. And then closing our eyes and settling here. Beginning to soften if you haven't already. Letting go of any clenching or gripping. Helping the body reclaim space. And softening into all of our potential here. Accepting the limitless potential of our awareness, of our capabilities, of our focus. And wherever you are, we'll be here for a few more moments. Within this time, still witness the body. Witness the experience of the stretch. The way you're adapting or acclimating. And maybe taking one more full cycle of breath until you're ready, with the eyes closed or the gaze soft, to gently press down into the floor or props and slowly come up. Taking your time as we unravel, whether you just maneuver around the props or you do move some things off to the side, just letting the body guide you gradually. There's no rush to this. Taking as many counter movements, letting the body just flow into that rebound space, facing any direction in your room, any angle along your mat. When there is all of this acceptance, we find that it doesn't really matter. You can just be here with the body and be here with the breath. Noticing the flutter of subtle sensations. Softening even in our rebound. And if you'd like to stay a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to stay. But when you're ready to awaken, you might find some movements for the feet, for the hands, for the knees, for the elbows, whatever it might be. And then we're going to let ourselves come down to the belly and really roll to our side so that we can practice our reclined mermaid shape, which we don't hold as long as our previous poses just because of the dynamics of it. But let's come to do that. So we'll come to our belly first. We'll move our props out of the way. And if you know open wing, which you all do here, and you'd rather take open wing instead of reclined mermaid when I show it, that's fine. But just so you know, we won't be holding it, as long. So just be mindful. But anyway, we're going to come down to the belly. Left arm is going to rest vertical here towards our top of the mat. And then the right palm will press into the floor. As we roll onto the shoulder, the hip, your left ear rests on the bicep. We're going to hug the knees into the chest. Now, most often we're going to have extra space. So as we pick up our head and we walk the arm out a little bit farther, we notice the space, and then we can bring our head back down. Right arm resting in front of you on your hip, or maybe binding behind the back, whatever is best. And this might be enough for you today, or you're going to lower your head down to the floor. And once you lower your head down to the floor, chin tucked or chin neutral, will immediately, most likely immediately, feel something very specific. Whether you're stretching in the underarm, maybe the skin of the armpit, the shoulder, the chest. So it's very unique in the way in which it feels. But if lowering the head is too much sensation too quick, just bring your ear back to your bicep and rest there. If you have any questions, let me know. Softening here whenever you're ready. Checking in with the breath. This particular variation allows the fascial to stretch within the deeper layers. So if we start to tingle a little bit, if you feel like your arm is falling asleep and it's light, it can be okay and you can stay. If it turns heavier, maybe bring your ear back to the bicep or just meet us in rebound. But just so you know, we have a few more breaths here if you are choosing to stay. Let's guide the right palm back in front of the chest. Pressing down into the floor, straighten your legs one at a time, just to create the space so that we can roll out of this left shoulder. We might pick up the head a little bit and come to the belly. Letting your arms rest wherever they land. You might pick up the chest and just readjust until you lay back down. Pausing here however you'd like. And maybe you do choose to windshield wiper the knees by bending them and rocking the hips side to side. Maybe rolling the ankles a bit. And whether you choose to stay on your belly, extend the spine up for child's pose, roll onto your back, rebound wherever you'd like, so that we can take these moments to notice the subtle sensations, the shifts of the breath, the resetting of the nervous system. And just letting ourselves bask in the awareness here. If you'd like to stay and rebound a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to do so. Or when you're ready, let's come back to the belly, readjust, and we'll prepare for the right side. So here, the right arm will come to the top of the mat. Now our left palm is guiding us as we roll into the right shoulder, bending the knees high into the chest. Left palm can rest in front of you. Maybe the arm comes across the top hip, or it can gently bind behind the back. Maybe readjusting so that that left arm can walk out a little bit farther if you notice you have some extra space. choosing to keep your ear on the bicep or lowering the head down to the floor if you're not already. Maybe taking that cleansing breath as your body arrives. Letting your hands soften here. Maybe your knuckles slightly bending. Letting go of any unnecessary tension, any unnecessary control. And sometimes the way in which the chin is either lifting or tucking and lowering, you might be guiding the stretch or driving it into a particular area. Whatever you're observing will be here for a few more moments. And then when you're ready, left palm can come in front of the chest if it's not already there. Your legs can begin to awaken, moving one at a time. As they lengthen, we'll use that space to slowly roll out of the right shoulder. It's almost like the release of open wing. Let your body readjust. Maybe your forearms cross underneath you. Maybe your arms are spread out along the floor. Taking any counter movements if desired. And settling into that space to rebound. And taking this moment to reflect. And then whenever you're ready, when you're ready to release from rebound, there might be a movement or two, a breath or two. And I'm going to have us do one more thing before Shavasana. We're not going to hold this very long. I'm just going to introduce it, and we'd probably do it more for next week or, another week, but probably next week. So we're going to come back into reclined mermaid on the left side. But like I said, I just want to introduce this. So once we come into the shape, if you're like, okay, wait, this is enough, and you just want to be in one of the two variations we've already done, stay. But if you want to bend into that left elbow, lift the hand and let the hand just rest somewhere, like on the back of the neck. Just let the knuckles relax. And I just want you to see by the bending of the elbow if that changes anything or not. So come into it. But before you do, right, you might walk that left arm out a little bit farther. Get the space from that bottom left hip all the way up to the fingertips. And then you can bend the elbow And let the hand rest behind the neck. For that, chin will have to be, towards the floor. The head will have to be towards the floor. It's something that might not come up right away. You need a few breaths. You need a few beats here, a few heartbeats to settle. And right now we're just observing, right? So really when we hold it longer next week, we might be foreshadowing some of the sensations we'll notice. Very cool. So if you have that elbow bent, slowly unbend it. Straightening your legs, release from that shape. And then we're just going to roll out slowly. And we're going to switch sides, right? So now your right palm will come to the top of the mat. We'll roll into the other shoulder. And checking out this side. So lifting up through the right arm, walking the arm out on all of its length. And bending at the elbow, letting the hand, maybe the fingertips rest on the shoulder or just back behind the neck. Again, now we're just noticing this opposite side. Even our brief moments, we'll still let the body soften. It's, your choice if you want to bend the elbow or not. Again, just noticing the way in which we can drive the stretch, the way we might illuminate certain areas of the body. Lengthening the tissue in all many different directions. And so take another breath here, noticing how we might be foreshadowing it for next time. Foreshadow a little longer. Okay, then we can unbend the elbow. Slowly lower the fingertips down to the floor, and then we'll let ourselves release. Once you've released from that, we'll now take our final movements, whether they're active or more relaxing, whatever it could be. And this will then prepare ourselves for our final rebound of practice of Shavasana. So taking your final movements, and of course, taking Shavasana on your back, on your belly, on your side body, right? Just accepting whatever will be most comfortable for you. And with acceptance, it's easy to make decisions. Not forcing your body to do anything that will not be comfortable. So you might have some props with you to do that. Maybe you'll use no props at all. But as we come to take our final shape of practice, another sweep of consciousness throughout the body as we soften, allowing ourselves to gravitate into stillness once more. And as we do so, we'll begin to absorb our practice, guiding ourselves into the space of Shavasana. very gently. Let's begin to deepen our breath. Noticing the way the body has settled here or relaxed. And within your own time, gently moving through the fingers and toes, awakening through the wrists and ankles. If it appeals to you, you can stretch the arms up and above the head and feel the body lengthen and grow tall. Knees might bend in, and as the feet come flat to the floor, you have the option to windshield wiper the knees from side to side, eventually hugging the knees all the way into the chest, maybe. But whenever you're ready, we'll roll either to the left or to the right. And taking any particular movements depending on where you were in Shavasana. And you can choose to stay on the ground or come back up to sit. Closing your practice however you'd like. We'll take one more moment of stillness here, a moment of reflection. Noticing the reclaimed space within the body, the expansion within the breath, and the clarity within the heart or mind. Palms can stay relaxed within the lap, or they can rest together. They can rest on the body. Whatever is best for you. But in all of our acceptance, we'll close our class with one cleansing breath or the sound of Om. And together, let's breathe in. Om. Gently bowing the chin to the chest. Thank you for practicing with me this evening, being elevated through yoga. Namaste.